Hi guys, I have some really cool projects to show you tonight. I made some really awesome birthday cards using our Top Note Bigs die along with some of my scrap paper and punches. Have you been looking for a way to use all your scrap paper and your punches? Well, I found this really cool way to use them and it takes no time at all. So let's get started. We're going to be making one happy birthday card today and we'll be using some Bold Brights paper in Tempting Turquoise, Brilliant Blue, Real Red, Yo-Yo Yellow, and Green Galore. I've gone ahead and pre-punched all the punches that we'll need, along with the paper strip that we're going to use. And this is Green Galore cut at a 1/2 inch, and I went ahead and used our cutter pack to rough up the edges. This is going to be our card. It's Brilliant Blue and it's cut at 8.5 by 5.5 and then scored to the middle at 4 1/4. I've gone ahead and cut the top note in Yo-Yo Yellow and lined out where I want my punches to go. Here's some of the extra punches that I punched out. Now this is just a frame using the 1 inch circle. I punched it out first in my scrap paper, and then I took a 1 1/4 inch circle and punched a frame around it, just like you would make a frame for anything else. After I did that, I lined them out on my top note die. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. You can go ahead and take your paper that you cut your top note die out of, and before you cut your top note die out, go ahead and glue down all of your shapes. And then just use your top note die and punch everything out at once when you die cut. You'll get a card that looks like this. As you can see, it also puts the perforations in your dies. It depends on what look you really want to go for. The other card I made, I used this technique where I'll go ahead and I glue them onto the top note die and then cut off the excess. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down where I have them. Now, for the bigger pieces, I go ahead and I just use snail. But for the little frames, I like to use the Tombow 2-way multi-glue. Another thing to keep in mind is the sentiment that you want to use on your card. You can go ahead and you can put that on first, or you can just situate your circles and your dots so that they won't be in the way, and they'll leave a big enough area for you to stamp. After you finish gluing down all of your circles and all of your dots, this is what your image is going to look like. Now what you do is you go ahead and you take your top note die and you flip it over. As you'll see that the extra that overhangs. You go ahead and just take your scissors. Now there's always going to be a little glue that gets off the side. You can go ahead and use your Crafty rubber scissors because they always see adhesive. I have a small pair of paper snips that I use because I think that the smaller the blades, the easier I can maneuver around some of these tight corners. But that's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off these extras. And sometimes you just have to work with the paper. Okay. Now when you're done cutting off the excess, it looks like this. Now some of the edges are rough, and you can go through and you can smooth them with your nails, or like I said, you can use Stampin' Up's cutter tools, find the distressing element, and go around the edges. I like that look, so I'm going to go ahead and go around the edges, and roughen it up a little bit. And sometimes that'll bring the yellow that all these shapes are sitting behind, but that just adds a little character. So I'm just going to distress this real quick. Okay, go ahead and got it finished distressing. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take the happy birthday from on your birthday stamp set, and I'm going to take my Stampin' jig. I don't know what I would do without it. I have to have everything straight. If it's not straight, I just don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it where I want it. And get out my Real Red Classic ink pad. Ink up my stamp. Make sure I get my happy birthday exactly where I want it. Line up my Stampin' jig with the vellum and stamp. So then my happy birthday is exactly where I want it. The next thing you're going to want to do is on your base cardstock, I like to stamp with tone on tone. So I have my Brilliant Brew ink pad, and I have the little circles and shapes stamp from the Sprinkles stamp set. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the direction of my stamp along the bottom of this piece of paper and close up my ink pad. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, remember that half-inch strip of green galore that we went ahead and distressed earlier? I'm just going to take my snail and run a strip down it. Bring my paper back down. Go ahead and line it up. And press down. And then go through and cut off the excess. Now when you're done doing that, you'll see how your card will just lay on there nice and perfect. Now, you can either offset it, like the first card I showed you, or you can go ahead and put it in the middle. It's up to you. This one I'm going to go ahead and put in the middle, and I like to use 5 dimensionals on it. One in the center and one in each corner, because I don't want it to sag. Peel those off. Go ahead and find the center. Push it down and there you go. Now the last thing that I did is I went ahead and I took our corner rounder, put the corners in there, and punched. Now I like to punch on this card since the top note die has rounded corners on all 4 corners. I go ahead and I punch and round all 4 corners on my card too. I feel that it just gives it a nice look and kind of like it's nesting. That's all that I have for you today. I hope you guys take the chance and try to make some of these really, really cool cards. They're perfect birthday cards for anybody. Thanks!